Divine revelation. Your miraculous proposal is confirmed to manifest in 3 days. Shocking all. The flickering candles danced on the altar at St. Michael's Church, casting golden glimmers of hope on Anne's worried face. She knelt, heart racing, as others joined hands in fervent prayer. The air hummed with expectancy. It felt as though the heavens were poised to pour out blessings. Suddenly, in the midst of the prayer circle, Anne felt a surge of warmth washing over her like never before. It was a prophetic word, an overwhelming declaration that pierced through the noise of doubt. In 3 days, your miraculous proposal will manifest. The words echoed, electrifying the room. With her pulse quickening, the reality of her relationships enveloped her. Mark stood at the crossroads of faith and worldly ambition, battling demons of uncertainty at work. As they prayed that evening, Anne's spirit felt buoyant yet burdened. Friends and family would scrutinize this prophecy, their questions circling her heart like vultures. Murmurs of skepticism flitted around her. Can you truly trust in what you cannot see? Days slipped by with each sunrise, the prophecy looming larger than life. Mark's job was actively draining him, night after night dragging him further from prayer and light. At the dinner table, her family's concerns for her faith pierced deeper than she would openly admit. And this is just a fantasy, isn't it? Her mother questioned gently, a furrow etched in her brow. The doubt flickered like the dying candle flames. What if she misheard? What if her heart's longing was mere wishful thinking? The pressure laid heavy, intertwined with the risings of hope and fear. But then came the unexpected. It was as if the heavens themselves were listening, pouring miraculous grace down on Mark. One afternoon, he returned from the doctor's beaming. He had been inexplicably healed from an illness once deemed incurable. A gasp of disbelief rippled through their community. Prayers answered. Yet instead of clarity, this miracle turned the heckler's spotlight upon her soul. Hadn't God just shown his power? Shouldn't she be celebrating? Anne's heart seized as doubt squeezed tighter. Yet at the same moment, the community embraced this act of divine mercy. Unaware of her brewing turmoil, the days slipped away. With the clock ticking down, and felt the impending climax tangle with the fear of despair. Would Mark truly ask her to be his forever? Her heart echoed with anxious hope. And then there was the church. The 3rd day arrived. It was time for miracles to unfold. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Anne entered the church, the atmosphere crackled with energy. Every face turned toward the entrance, hope etched across the congregation's features. Mark strode in silently, his expression ablaze with purpose. Anne's heart surged as all eyes locked onto him, each heartbeat overlapping with silent prayers. He opened his mouth, pausing for a brief moment, heightening the suspense. Was this the moment they had all been waiting for? The air thickened, reverence hanging like a cloak, as Mark's words hung suspended, ready to shift the destiny of their lives forever. Would he bring forth the promise of hope and joy? Or would the weight of uncertainty squash their dreams? The church fell into a hushed reverence, the kind that makes the hairs on your arms stand up. Mark's eyes scanned the room before settling on Anne, a spark igniting between them, a sacred bond strengthened by faith. He took a deep breath, grounding himself, and the electric anticipation hung thick in the air. Everyone, I stand before you today not just as Mark, he began, his voice rumbling with conviction, but as a man touched by the hand of God. Just days ago I was lost in despair. My health was a storm cloud threatening to swallow me whole. But through the unwavering prayers of this community and the faith of one remarkable woman I found healing, and felt the warmth cascade over her like a waterfall of love and disbelief. She held her breath, the very air pulsing with potential. And Mark continued, stepping forward, his gaze anchored in hers. You've been the light guiding me through my darkest hours. The promise we hold, the prophecy we've embraced, I believe it to be true. Hope shimmered in every corner of the church. Whispers and gasps soon filled the space. Each person caught in their own moment of reflection, could they witness a miracle unfold right before their eyes. 3 days ago, I thought I was only seeking healing. Instead, I found clarity, Mark stated firmly, his confidence rising. God has spoken, and it is clear that our hearts are meant to beat together, united in faith and love. And S. heart shouted with joy, yet in the depth of her spirit, a question lingered: was this the moment that would define their future together? Did she dare to hope? Will you, and be my partner in this life? Will you marry me? Mark's voice, now steady and powerful, broke through the whirlwind of thoughts. He knelt down, a simple yet profound act. The tension of years melted away in that singular moment. An S breath caught in her throat. All eyes turned to her, anticipation bubbling in their hearts. A rush of emotions swept through her: joy, disbelief, and an overwhelming sense of destiny. Was it right? Was it meant to be? She looked down at Mark, his eyes glistening with tears of hope. Yes, yes, I will. The words poured out, ignited by divine affirmation. The congregation erupted into applause and praise, voices lifted in harmonious gratitude, celebrating this miraculous unfolding of love and faith. Tears streamed down his cheeks, not just for joy but also for the journey that brought them here. The invisible threads that wove their paths together through prayer, healing, and divine whispers were now palpably alive in this sacred moment. Yet, as the euphoria bubbled around her, a shadow of doubt still lingered at the edges of her consciousness. What did the future hold? The cloak of joy enveloped Mark and Anne. But what if the probing questions returned? The gentle, yet insistent murmurs of skepticism could never truly be silenced. I end the celebration, awe intertwined with apprehension. Here beneath the shimmering church lights, amidst the reverent cries of Amen, another thought began to take form in her mind. Was the proposal merely the beginning? What deeper revelations lay ahead as they embarked on this union? All the joy around them felt sacred, yet an uncharted path lay ahead, a journey guided by prayer, destiny entwined with love. As the church continued to celebrate, and squeezed Mark's hand tightly, feeling an inexplicable pull to the future. What awaited them as they stepped out from this holy moment into the world? With hearts beating as one and a congregation surrounding them, the next chapter of their lives swelled with promise, a blend of hope and the uncertainty of what lay ahead. The joyous applause settled into a gentle hum of praise as the congregation caught their breath, all washing over them like a tide. Mark and Anne stood there, hands intertwined, each heartbeat echoing the promises made, the commitments expressed. There was a holy energy in the air, electric yet soothing. "Look at them," whispered Sarah, an elderly woman seated near the front. Her voice was filled with warmth, and her eyes shone with pride. "This is what faith can do. Just look at how God has moved." Elsewhere in the church, heads nodded in agreement, as others murmured their own expressions of gratitude. The atmosphere seemed to shimmer, infused with the essence of unshakable belief. At that moment, Anne felt the weight of the community's love and prayers wrap around her like a warm blanket, cradling her in a sanctuary of support. Yet, deeper in her heart, an undercurrent of worry flowed. The questions that crept in were like shadows at dusk, elusive and disconcerting. What would life be like after this day? Their shared dreams now felt as tangible as the air they breathed, yet the path ahead felt hazier than she'd hoped. "God has favored us, and," Mark spoke softly, squeezing her hand, "I can feel it. We're part of something bigger than ourselves." His conviction soothed her worries, even if only momentarily. "But what does that mean, Mark?" She hesitated, searching his eyes. "What does this new chapter truly hold?" He chuckled lightly, a sound so reassuring. "We step forward with faith. Isn't that the journey? God guides us when we seek Him." As they stood united, glimmers of their future painted a vivid image in Anne's heart. They could thrive together. With prayer, purpose, and love they could overcome obstacles. Yet, Still the doubts lingered, uncertain shadows dancing ahead of them. The pastor stepped forward, sensing a readiness in the air. He gestured for silence, his voice soft but powerful. "Let us reflect on this moment," he said, his gaze dancing over the congregation. Mark and an S union isn't just a personal celebration. It's a testament to God's glory. And in that spirit, let us pray. The room echoed with the sounds of prayers being lifted, petitions spoken softly, and gratitude flowing freely. And closed her eyes, joining in. She felt the congregation's heartbeat intertwine with hers, creating a symphony of faith that spoke to the heavens. In the depths of that prayer, enveloped in the warmth of collective blessings, something miraculous began to stir. An unexpected chill ran down her spine, a moment of divine clarity threading through her mind. This union was indeed a starting point, but what more awaited? Suddenly, the words the pastor shared resonated deeply within her. God often acts when we least expect it. Miracles begin where fear and doubt collide with faith. Expect the unexpected. His declaration struck with intensity, awakening a new flame of hope in her spirit as the echo of his message lingered. Her heart raced with renewed determination. She understood now this was just the beginning of something much grander. Their journey would be filled with trials. Yes, but also with divine revelations that promised to surpass their wildest dreams. Stepping into the unknown could be terrifying, yet it was also an embrace of God's boundless grace. The celebration resumed, laughter and voices mingling into a vibrant tapestry of life. Mark pulled and closer, dipping his head to speak softly. "Whatever comes next, I know we'll face it together. With God, we are unstoppable." With renewed faith and smiled, feeling the weight lift. But a thread of curiosity still twined around her heart. What miraculous lessons lay waiting for them in the days to come? What surprises did God have in store, especially with the 3-day mark nearing? As she pondered those questions, a sense of peace washed over her. The journey began anew, sparkling with promise and divine encounters. Her soul surged with the understanding that they were not simply stepping into the future but weaving together a tapestry that intertwined their destinies with something magnificent. Together, they would uncover the wonders of faith, love, and miracles. Little did they know, the next revelation was just around the corner. The atmosphere buzzed with excitement as the congregation began to mingle, their voices a comforting chorus of chatter and laughter. Mark and moved within the group, sharing joyous moments, warm hugs, and heartfelt congratulations. Yet, an heart beat steadily with an anticipation that felt almost tangible. It was as if something divine hung in the air, waiting to unfold. "Isn't it beautiful?" Sarah remarked, joining them, her joyful eyes sparkling. "This is how it should be, community wrapped in love and faith." Remarking on the truth of her words, and smiled. She felt blessed indeed, surrounded by family and friends who shared in their joy. But even in the midst of this happiness, her thoughts flitted back to the pastor's closing words. "Expect the unexpected. Mark," she whispered, drawing him aside as the festivities twirled around them. Do you think God truly has something special lined up for us?" He studied her face, his brow furrowed thoughtfully. "I believe it. Yes, I do," he replied firmly. "When we give our hearts to him, he surprises us in ways we can't imagine." And nodded, feeling a thrill wash over her. With the 3-day mark nearing, her spirit danced with both fear and excitement. What revelation awaited them? Was it merely fanciful thinking or a divine promise about to be fulfilled? As night fell and the festivities brightened, twinkling lights strung throughout the sanctuary glimmered like stars. The sound of music filled the air, and families began to sway, laughter spilling forth like an offering of joy, and felt caught up in a whirlpool of grace. Yet within her lingered the thread of puzzlement. What could possibly change in just 3 days? "Dance with me," Mark urged suddenly, pulling her into the center of the gathering. He took her hand and led her into the vibrant circle. As they moved together, swaying in rhythm, the worries began to fall away like autumn leaves. In those moments, the world seemed to dissolve, and it was just the two of them, wrapped in their own bubble of joy. But amidst the swirling emotions, a shadow of doubt crept back. "Mark," she said between spins, "what if things don't turn out the way we hoped? What if the miracle doesn't come?" Mark's eyes shone with unwavering conviction. "And remember, it's not for us to dictate the path. Our role is to believe, to remain open and expectant. Each moment we trust, we step deeper into his light." His words resonated brightly, weaving a thread of faith through her. With each beat of the music, she felt her heart swell with hope. Yes, just believing had transformed their day, and together, they could embrace what lay ahead as they danced. The crowd intensified. The pastor joined the revelry, his laughter infectious. He caught Anne's eye and winked, adding to her growing excitement. "God is up to something," he called out, raising his arms in joyful worship. Anne's heart raced again, not only from the electrifying atmosphere but from the spark of divine possibility. Were they truly on the brink of a breakthrough? Could faith move mountains in ways they couldn't yet comprehend? Later, as they stepped outside to take a breath of fresh air, a cool wind swept through the night, brushing against her skin, and looked up at the starry sky, each twinkle a reminder of promises yet to unfold. "Whatever is coming," she whispered, "I know it will be good." A sudden rustling broke her thoughts. She turned to see an older man approaching, with a gentle smile that seemed to hold infinite wisdom. "Your faith has pleased the Lord," he said quietly. "Prepare your hearts, for 3 days from now, you shall witness his mighty hand at work." And exchanged a knowing look with Mark, and in that moment, the air crackled with possibility. What did this mean? She felt her heart leap as the man turned and walked away, leaving them with more questions than answers. And Mark contemplated the meaning behind his words. A gentle excitement began to greet her concerns. The promise of 3 days loomed ahead, hinting at an adventure beyond their wildest dreams. What divine surprises awaited them? The anticipation was thick enough to touch. A new chapter of discovery was just beginning. Little did they know the next revelation was sure to change everything. The morning sun spilled golden light into the world, illuminating the paths where Anne and Mark walked. A gentle peace wrapped around them, yet the thrill of expectation bounced at the edges of their spirits. Each moment ticked closer to the revelation promised by the mysterious older man. "What if we need to prepare for something specific?" Anne mused, her brow furrowing slightly as they strolled hand in hand through the blooming garden behind the church. Tulips nodded in the breeze, and birds twirled playfully above, but her heart remained a whirlwind of questions. Mark squeezed her hand reassuringly. "It feels right to simply trust. We've put ourselves in his hands. Maybe preparing means opening our hearts fully to whatever he has for us," he offered, his eyes shining with certainty. "Do you think this could actually transform everything?" Her voice trembled slightly at the thought, carrying with it both excitement and fear. Mark stopped, turning to face her fully. "Absolutely. Remember that time I prayed for guidance on my job? I never expected the answer, yet it came in the most unexpected way. God knows what we need, sometimes before we do." He smiled, the warmth of his belief washing over her like sunlight on a cool morning. "Yes, I remember," she replied with a soft smile. "And look at how that changed your life. What if this is equally big?" "Exactly. We need to be on the lookout for his signs. Every moment holds the potential for the extraordinary." His eyes sparkled with faith, and at that moment, Anne realized how deeply he inspired her to believe. As they turned back toward the church, they encountered familiar faces in the congregation, each framing a joyful expression. Sarah approached them, her cheeks flushed with enthusiasm. "Have you two been praying?" she asked, her voice a melody of excitement. "Yes," Anne replied, feeling a shared connection. "We're waiting for something wonderful. I just feel something in my spirit, too," Sarah whispered fervently. "The atmosphere is charged with anticipation. Can you feel it?" Anne nodded, her heart racing in response to the infectious energy surrounding them. She leaned closer, almost conspiratorially. "What do you think this means?" "The man who spoke to us, he seemed certain. We must keep our hearts in tune. Miracles happen when we gather in faith," Sarah exclaimed, her voice vibrant with conviction. Stay expectant, both of you. The next few days are crucial. All around them, the community buzzed with a holy fervor, a chorus of believers wrapped in their own hopes and dreams. The sacred connection was palpable, and Anne felt it deep in her bones. This was more than just waiting. It was uniting in purpose, a collective heart beating for a shared promise. That evening, as they joined the congregation for prayer, the atmosphere grew thick with a divine presence. The pastor lifted his arms, inviting the community into a deeper place of worship. Tonight, we seek clarity, he proclaimed, his voice resonating through the sanctuary. We open ourselves to receive the fullness of God. And closed her eyes, longing to be filled with something new. As she prayed, she envisioned the coming days not just as a timeline, but as a canvas for divine artistry unfolding before them. Then, suddenly, a softly spoken line pierced through her thoughts, whispering to her soul, "Faith is the root of miracles." It swirled around her heart like a gentle breeze. What incredible unfolding awaited them, and felt the tension of anticipation. Could the next day bring them closer to the miraculous? The night drew to a close, but her heart remained ever open, waiting, just waiting for the divine to breathe life into the dreams ahead. And so the question lingered, weaving through her thoughts. What would manifest in 3 days, and how would it transform everything they held dear? As dawn broke on the third day, the world awoke with an almost sacred hush, a sense of quiet anticipation permeating the air, and opened her eyes to find the sunlight spilling through her window in a lush cascade, dazzling her senses. She took a moment to breathe, sensing that today held the weight of something wonderful. Mark stirred beside her, yawning and stretching like a cat basking in the glow of morning. "It feels different today, doesn't it?" he said, his voice thick with sleep yet laced with excitement. "It does," Anne replied, her heart beating faster. "I can feel it in my bones. Something is coming." As they prepared for the day, their movements were woven with unspoken hope. Each brush of a hairbrush, and every wrinkle smoothed on their clothes felt charged with purpose. The church was buzzing with energy when they arrived, the atmosphere thick with joy and expectancy. Congregants gathered in small clusters, exchanging whispers and meaningful glances. Sarah spotted them immediately, her eyes sparkling as she hurried over. "Did you feel the service last night? It was electrifying." "Yes," Anne exclaimed, remembering the palpable energy that seemed to vibrate through the faces of those praying together, souls ignited with possibility. "Today has to be special." As the pastor began to speak, his voice resonated. He reminded the congregation about the promises held in Scripture, your collective journey of faith built upon trust and love. Miracles are not just on the horizon. They are here and now, waiting for us to embrace them. His words echoed in Anne's heart, wrapping around her as tightly as a warm embrace. Before the service ended, he invited everyone to share their testimonies. One by one, people began to rise, sharing stories of hope, restoration, and answered prayers. Each account was a thread weaving into a tapestry of faith. Anne and Mark exchanged glances, their hearts stirring with anticipation. Then, in a moment that felt both spontaneous and divine, the mysterious older man they had encountered stepped forward, leaning lightly on his cane. His presence commanded the room as eyes turned to him. "You've been waiting for a confirmation," he began, his voice rich with authority. "I believe today is your day." A hush fell over the congregation, the weight of his words sinking in. He looked directly at Anne and Mark, and in an instant, the air around them crackled with divine energy. "The Lord has heard your prayers. Miracles do not prefer the magnificent, rather, they unfold in the hearts of those who believe." And felt a tremor course through her, catching her breath as the man's gaze bore into her soul. "Prepare yourselves. What you have longed for is already in motion. It will be revealed in the ways you least expect." The excitement rippled through the crowd, igniting whispers. Mark squeezed her hand, and Anne's heart raced. What revelation was unfolding? What miracle would soon manifest? As the clamor of voices filled the sanctuary, an inexplicable peace washed over Anne. She sensed the gentleness of God guiding every heart, including hers. The coming hours were filled with promises and possibilities. Later in the quiet of the afternoon, Anne and Mark found a sunny spot on the church lawn. As they sat on the grass, hearts still charged with that powerful moment, something profound dawned on them. What if today is about more than our own desires? She mused aloud. What if it's also about the impact we can have on those around us? His brow knitted in thought. You mean, a call to action? To share not just our blessings but encourage others to see the miracles in their lives. Exactly. Her stomach twisted with excitement. If we all believe and act, how much more could God do? What if this is a challenge for us to be vessels of hope and love? Mark's expression transformed as he mulled over her words. Then we must prepare not just to receive but to give. We're called to be a part of his story together. As shadows lengthened on the grass, the world around them seemed vibrant and alive. What if today was just the beginning of their true mission? They realized the divine tapestry was just starting to unfold. The sun dipped lower, painting the sky in strokes of lavender and gold, and Anne whispered, "What awaits us in the next moment as we step into this journey? Is it just a miracle or a whole new calling?" As the sun dipped beneath the horizon, the world was painted with the colors of possibility. Anne and Mark sat in stillness, both aware of a deeper presence surrounding them. It was as if the whispers of the universe were stirring, gently nudging them toward a path yet unfathomed. Mark broke the silence first. "I can't shake the feeling that something cosmic is at play here, like we're about to step into something bigger than we ever imagined." His eyes sparkled with both excitement and a hint of trepidation. "Maybe we're meant to be more than just observers," Anne replied, her voice steady yet filled with wonder. "What if we are to be catalysts for change? Signs of hope to those who are struggling?" Their conversation flowed, each thought igniting the next. It felt as if the Holy Spirit was weaving their words into a tapestry of inspiration. What if we created a safe space, where others can come, share their dreams, and manifest their miracles together? Mark's voice rose, enthusiasm lighting his features, and nodded, a fire kindling within her heart. "Yes. Imagine gatherings filled with prayer, song, and testimonies. A community embracing its fears, doubts, and ultimately transforming them into faith and fulfillment." Suddenly, their friend Sarah approached, her eyes gleaming with urgency. "Guys, you won't believe it. A woman from the congregation just shared how she's been praying for weeks about a need." She spoke of shadows of hopelessness, but now Sarah grasped their arms tightly. "She's been healing. The church is buzzing with joy." The news washed over Anne and Mark like a wave, invigorating their spirits further. "It's happening," Anne whispered, almost in disbelief. She glanced toward the gathering crowd, noticing the palpable excitement shifting within the community. Each individual was becoming a beacon of potential, each story weaving an iridescent thread in the tapestry. "What if we miss this chance?" Mark said suddenly, a sense of urgency pouring from him. "The pastor's message today was our nudge. We can't merely sit back and wait for our miracle." Their hearts raced in synchrony with a dawning realization. They were on the edge of a divine calling. It was no longer about personal desires or individual yearnings. It was about what God wanted to stir within the lives of others. They envisioned a gathering space not just to receive blessings, but to encourage and equip their brothers and sisters in faith. "We'll need to pray," Anne declared, sensing the gravity of the mission ahead. "We'll pray for clarity and guidance. We'll offer our hearts to be transformed and used for a greater purpose." As they closed their eyes, picturing the gathering alive with energy and faith, a solemn peace settled over them. The shadows of doubt melted away, leaving only a bright conviction. This was the unfolding of their own liberation and the liberation of those around them. Hours later, as they prepared for bed, Anne found herself unable to sleep. A gentle glow of moonlight streamed through the window. She stared at the ceiling, her thoughts tumbling forward, eager yet apprehensive. What if everyone doesn't embrace this? What if we fail? Mark sensed her unrest. Think about the moments that have brought us here. God has led us through every twist and turn. We won't be alone. Our doubts are mere stones on our path. God will guide our steps. And smiled softly, feeling comfort wash over her. As she drifted off, excitement trimmed with humility enveloped her. It was as if the universe whispered that the next 3 days would be pivotal, a time when faith would yield undeniable fruit. With each tick of the clock, she sensed it drawing nearer, the miracle on the horizon, the confirmation of their calling. The reality of what lay ahead was knitting itself into the fabric of their existence. What greater miracles awaited Anne and Mark? Would they embrace the divine whisper calling them deeper into community and service? Only time would reveal the truth lying in wait just beyond the dawn. The morning light poured through the window, bathing the room in a golden hue, and awoke with a start, her heart racing. Today marked the first day of their mission, and the anticipation felt electric in the air. With a deep breath, she recalled the whispered promises of the night, a commitment to step into what they had envisioned. Mark stirred beside her, rubbing his eyes. "Morning, are you ready?" he asked, his voice heavy with sleep yet bursting with excitement. There was something in his gaze that made her feel buoyant, as if they were both being carried on the wings of divine intention. "Yes, I can't explain it, but I feel like today is special," and swung her legs off the bed and stood up, embracing the warmth of the new day. They prayed together, their words wrapping around the vision of the gathering like a sacred vessel, holding dreams and hopes. "Guide us, Lord," Mark murmured. "Let this be a space where lives are changed, where hope is ignited." Once they finished, they set out to the community hall, a place that now felt like a canvas waiting to be painted with faith and connection. Their hearts beat in rhythm with the purpose forming in their minds. As they arrived, the energy was palpable. Tables were being set up, chairs arranged, and a few early birds were already chatting animatedly. Each voice mixed together like a beautiful symphony, resonating with shared intentions. Anne's heart swelled. Each smile was another thread in the tapestry they were creating. "Look," Mark pointed to a small group congregating in a circle, heads bowed and hands clasped. "They're already praying," and approached them, her spirit alight with joy. "Could we join? We're starting a community gathering today, and would love to make it even more powerful with prayer." One of them, a welcoming face with kind eyes, nodded enthusiastically. "Absolutely. We're praying for healing for all, especially for those who feel lost." They joined hands, forming a chain of faith and connection, each voice rising in harmony, and closed her eyes, transported in that moment, not just by their words but by the essence of what God was weaving through them all. A mingling of prayers, hopes, and the sheer weight of humanity's longing for healing filled the air, interspersed with the light laughter of a child nearby as the prayers flowed. A single tear slid down Anne's cheek. She felt a release, a lifting of burdens in that shared moment, a tiny miracle in itself. When they finished, the energy in the room had shifted. People were glowing, energized. Mark stepped forward, his heart pounding. "Welcome, everyone. Today, we're creating a safe space for all voices. We're igniting a journey toward miracles. Together." Cheers erupted, and Anne felt the warmth of shared purpose envelop her. It felt like a family gathering, only stitched together by faith rather than blood. Throughout the day, stories tumbled forth. Testimonies of struggles that felt insurmountable, and victories that sparked a fresh light. Someone shared their fight against addiction. Another spoke of feeling invisible and disconnected. With each shared story, Anne and Mark found their faith deepening, a sacred responsibility resting upon their shoulders. As sunsets begun to color the sky, a woman approached them, eyes gleaming. "I've waited a long time for this," she said, her voice trembling. "I felt so hopeless this morning, but I prayed for a light to shine, and here I am." With this, Anne's heart leapt. "You're part of the answer. This gathering, it was always for you. God is moving." As they embraced, a sense of divine unity pulsed among them like an unspeakable promise. They were just getting started, and the joy of collective faith felt like the first drops of rain in a parched land. But amid the joy, a quiet voice began to speak within and, drawing her gaze to the horizon. What would happen if the collective faith inspired even more willingness to share? What if they opened their hearts wider still? A wave of anticipation washed over her. They were not merely nurturing their own seed of faith. They were also sowing seeds of transformation well beyond their reach. And as the stars peeked through the twilight, and sensed the day's echoes would continue to resonate into the next, what unforeseen revelations awaited them as they walked deeper into their calling? Would they find the courage to grasp all that God had in store? The next day dawned with a rich tapestry of colors painting the sky, and awoke before the sun announced its arrival, a tranquil stillness enveloping her. The echoes of the previous day's gathering pulsed in her heart, a gentle reminder of the surreal joy and connection they had birthed together. She rolled out of bed, her mind buzzing with thoughts of their next meeting. There was a longing, deep within her, for more stories to unfold. She hurriedly washed her face and prepared breakfast for Mark, who had fallen back asleep on the couch last night after a long day of conversations as she poured the coffee. The aroma filled the small kitchen, wrapping her in familiar warmth. She thought of the woman from the day before, how her light had flickered back to life, and marveled at how each heart had become a beacon, their stories sparking hope amid despair. "Morning," Mark said, his voice still laced with sleep. He shuffled into the kitchen, rubbing his eyes again. Seeing breakfast laid out brought a smile to his face. "What's on your mind today?" "I can't stop thinking about all the souls we touched," and replied, her eyes lighting up. "I feel like God is opening more doors. What if this is just the beginning?" He took a sip of coffee, his brow furrowing slightly. "You mean more gatherings?" "No, I mean more than that. It's about expanding our hearts, allowing our stories to breathe life into others." Mark nodded, intrigued. "So, you're feeling the urge to take it deeper? Share even more? Could be risky, that's just it," she exclaimed, her voice climbing with excitement. "What if we invited folks to share more than struggles? Maybe offer tangible blessings like food, support, or even counseling. Using the dynamics of the previous day's event, they could create a practical, impactful ministry." The idea was exhilarating, yet the fear of failure whispered in the corners of Anne's mind. "But what if we can't handle it all?" Mark questioned, his concern a weight on his heart. "Then we'll pray. We lean on God for strength, not our abilities. Remember yesterday? We rejoiced despite our fears." The sun had fully risen, casting light into their small kitchen. There was something significant about the dawn. Each day was a reset, a chance to grasp the unfolding plan. The conversations flowed throughout breakfast, a tapestry of excitement and concern. They crafted an outline of what their next gathering might encompass. In that moment, they didn't just imagine. It felt like they were inviting the world into their hearts. As the day progressed, and reached out to a few members of the community via phone. Each voice that echoed back held newfound enthusiasm and willingness. She sensed the ripple effect of their mission extending far beyond their reach. In the evening, and stood outside, gazing at the twinkling stars that hung above them. There was an undeniable assurance resonating within her, as if every star was a guiding light in the dark. Suddenly, she envisioned something that made her heart skip a larger venue. What if they could hold multiple gatherings? A soft breeze kissed her cheek. In the stillness, the voice echoed again, urging her further. "Open your heart and watch how the universe responds." But with that call for expansion came an unsettling question. How would this shift affect the intimate bond they had started? Would the community feel lost in a larger gathering? She turned toward Mark, who had joined her outside. "What's wrong?" he asked, noticing the uncertainty painted across her expression. "I just wonder, as we grow, will we still be connected? What if we lose that spark?" Mark took her hand, his grip steady. "That's the beauty of community. It grows and morphs. If we invite everyone to be part, their stories will keep the spark alive, no matter the size." His words soothed her spirit, a balm to the worry that sometimes wrapped around her heart. So as the night deepened, they turned their vision into action, planning, dreaming, prayerfully preparing for what was about to blossom. But sensed a deeper mystery stirring, a quiet whisper, drawing her to something more. What if the next gathering called them to confront the unknown within themselves? What treasures would they uncover now that they were set on this path? The flicker of the unknown danced in her heart. What if all this faith sparked another miracle waiting to unfold? Would they truly have the courage to embrace it? The sun emerged like a warm embrace, fluttering through the morning mist on the significant day Mark had been waiting for. Today was different. The air held a promise so palpable that every soul breathed it in deeply. Their hearts, fully attuned to the divine, felt the crescendo of faith vibrating around the community. They had spent the night in prayer, their spirits anticipating not just the gathering, but a deeper unveiling, a revelation that could change their pathway forever. As they prepared, and could barely contain the fluttering in her chest, this was the moment when their dreams would collide with the divine, and miracles would come to fruition. Arriving at the community hall, a sense of belonging washed over her. Laughter and chatter bubbled from within, the sheer joy of connection filling the air like an anthem of hope. They hadn't just come to see friends. They had gathered to cultivate a garden of faith, to plant seeds of purpose that would take root in every heart present. Mark gently squeezed her hand as they stepped through the threshold. "Look at everyone," he marveled, his eyes bright with excitement, all these voices willing to share their light. The sight of friends, eager to engage and lend their stories, ignited his heart. It felt like something monumental was about to begin. As they moved into the vibrant circle of community, the pastor rose to address the crowd. His voice resonated deeply, infusing the atmosphere with a mix of vigor and warmth. "Today is about revival," he declared, uplifting their spirits. "It's about discovering how we can be vessels of change, hope, and love, not just for ourselves but for every person waiting in darkness." A soft murmur of agreement flowed through the chorus of friends, and with a beat of faith, hearts unified in anticipation, and closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the intensity rise, rippling through the congregation like an electric current. They were ready to embrace the unpredictable. The pastor invited those who had stories to tell. One by one, individuals stood up, pouring out their journeys, their pain, their healing, and the miracles that had unfolded amidst trials. And listened, tears pricking her eyes as their words resonated. Each testimony pronounced a collective manifestation of divine faith, hope, and transformation. "God is here," someone shouted, and the room erupted with applause and blessings. It was music to Anne's soul, a promise that they were not only hearing but experiencing the very real presence of the divine. Gaining courage, Anne took a deep breath and stepped forward amidst the electrifying atmosphere. "I believe today is a divine crossroads," she said, her voice steady yet quivering with emotion. "We were created to thrive, not just survive, and together we can lift one another through the storms." The community nodded with enthusiasm, echoing prayers of affirmation. Mark joined her. His hand rested on her shoulder, amplifying the message. "Let us not only share our stories but cultivate an uplifting space where love sustained by faith can flourish." Cheers erupted again, each word a brick building a stronger foundation. Then as they spoke, something remarkable happened. A young man stood up, visibly trembling with emotion. His voice cracked as he shared his struggle with addiction. "I didn't think there was hope for me, but being here, witnessing everyone's courage, I feel I can take my first step," he said, a murmur of support rippling through the crowd. With every face turned toward him, and felt the overwhelming tide of communal strength rise higher. In that moment, their mission became clear. They were not simply sharing testimony but igniting a flame of possibilities that would reach far beyond their gathering today. It was the birth of a community emboldened by vulnerability and love. "Let us create a support group," Mark proposed. "A true sanctuary for each other, filled with the understanding and compassion that God has bestowed upon us." The applause grew louder, a tidal wave of affirmation washing over them. Each person stood taller, a vivid reminder of God's promises echoing in hearts as the day unfolded, and sensed the crackle of divine energy surging through her like fireworks in the night sky. They gathered for prayer once more, each person lifting their unique concerns, hopes, and dreams. For every prayer spoken opened a door to the unseen, confirming that the congregation was embarking on an incredible journey. When the gathering came to a close, everyone stood intertwined, hands clasped, echoes of gratitude and awe filled the air, and felt a touch of stillness grace her soul, a certainty that they had not only witnessed miracles today but had become part of a greater story. As she and Mark stepped outside, the twilight wrapped around them like a comforting blanket. A sense of peace settled in her heart, mingling with excitement for tomorrow's new beginnings. They had launched into a mission fueled by selflessness and faith. What now? She mused, glancing skyward, the stars twinkling like affirmations of God's goodness. Now we prepare for the next wave, Mark replied, a smile dancing on his lips. We continue sharing, embracing, and inspiring more souls to step into the light. And so they walked hand in hand, knowing that their journey was only just beginning. With faith ignited and hope surging, each step was a pulse of divine love beckoning them onward. The canvas of their lives was being painted with vibrant colors of love, faith, and community, where every heart would surely witness the wonders of an extraordinary God. It was time to dream broader, to expect the unexpected, and right then and there, they embraced the unknown with arms wide open, ready for anything God had in store. Now it's your turn. You must subscribe immediately to our channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories that will ignite your spirit. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and share this impactful message far and wide. Comment below your reactions and tell us your testimonies about today's conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this divine manifestation of faith. Only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. You need to show your support today. Let us spread these miracles together.